Okay, welcome back to another regular expression video. I think this is part 4. And in the previous videos, we've been just talking about regular expression syntax, going through some examples together. And if you haven't watched those, I recommend doing so because we're kind of building upon those. And today we're going to talk about the string anchor and what that means. And if you're bored, feel free to go to my website, Coding Under Pressure. I try to make content out there regularly. In fact, I just made one on regular expressions, so if you want some supplemental info, you might find it on here. And then something else I want to take note of, in the last few videos, I hadn't been using the raw string notation, but I noticed on the Python documents, they say usually patterns will be expressed in Python code using this raw string notation. That way, these backslashes aren't misinterpreted. So from now on, you're going to see me, in our example here, we've been using defined all, you're going to see me use the R in front of the string to make it a raw string. So let's talk about string anchors. And we're going back to our regex101.com, and here I have a couple strings. We have I'm a big boy and happy boy. And let's say I want to find a match where boy is the end of a string. How would I do that with regular expressions? What I can use is the $, which means this will be a match if it's at the end of the string. So now we have two matches because boy is at the end of the string and both of these lines. And not only is this a string by string basis, it's actually line by line basis, because if we click right here, we can notice we have what are called these regular expression flags. And one of the ones that are enabled is multi-line. So what it'll do is it'll look at each line individually and say, okay, is boy at the end of that line? If so, it's a match. Notice now if I put a space, making it the last character of this line, it's no longer a match because space is the end of this line, not boy. And if we wanted to do the opposite, let's say we want to find a match where happy is the beginning of a string. Instead of the $, we're going to use the caret and say happy. And now happy is a match. And then finally, if we have a bunch of gibberish in between, but we only care if it starts with happy, ends in boy, that whole entire string will therefore be a match. What we can do is dot and then asterisk, which we saw yesterday, which means just anything in between, boy, $, now the whole string is a match because dot asterisk is any character, 0 or more times. So back to our Python example, I have a new multi-line string called students. We've been working with a string called receipts before. I changed it to students, and now we have students' names and then their age. And their age, we say, should be formatted like so. It should say age, and then an equal sign, and then immediately the number that represents their age. And so what we want to do is we want to extract the age from each line as long as it meets this requirement that this is the very end of the string, or each line in our case. And so how I'd write that in this find all method is I would say, well, age is required, the equal sign is required, but the age is kind of unknown, right? It can be a lot of different ages. It can be a single digit, it can be double digit. So I'm just going to use a set and say from 0 to 9, and then a plus, meaning there's at least going to be one digit. And then lastly, the $, that we saw before, which means this is going to be at the end of the string or the line. And now if we run this, I actually don't expect it to pick up anything. And I'll show you why. So we have a blank list now if I run find all and print out the results of the find all. And that's because Jake here at the top has a space hidden right after the age. And we said we want age equals a digit to be at the very end of the string. We're going to ignore if there is anything after that because they didn't follow our directions. But why didn't it pick up this one down below? Because there's no space and age equals 16 is matching our pattern. Well, it's because there's another parameter in the find all that we need to put re dot, in our case, the capital M, which is going to mean multi-line. Because like I showed in our tester here, we have multi-line flag enabled. And that's all this parameter is going to be. It's going to be optional flags, in our case, multi-line. So now if I run this again, it's going to give us all of the valid matches. Age equals 16, age equals 17. This one did not meet our match because they have a space after age and then after the equal sign as well, which we didn't allow in our pattern. So that's the string, anchor, and regular expression. Hopefully you found this video useful. Like I said, if you hadn't already, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in a future video.